This is Colin Dixon with nScreen Media, and I'm here at Broadband TV Con in Los Angeles, and I'm speaking with Howard Horowitz. And Howard, you have a new report out on multi-screen habits, right?
Yes, we do. It's called Multichannel Services and SVOD in a multi-platform environment.
So tell me about who did you talk to? I mean, did you talk to a whole bunch of people doing a whole bunch of things, or is it just the multi-screeners?
We talked to 2,000 people who are multi-platform users and viewers. They access content through multi-channel services and or over OTT services, but not exclusively multi-channel. If you only watch multi-channel and not OTT, you couldn't be in the survey.
Okay, and so what sort of services were you really gating this on? What would they be using?
All right, so we launched this study at a particular point in time where we thought we could ask consumers to start to think about structurally about their situation in the marketplace. And that was with the branded announcements from CBS, HBO, and Showtime. It was time to ask people about their attitude towards these very anchored in the multi-channel world services now going OTT. What impact does it have on them? We did not want to ask them what will you leave cable and subscribe to. We didn't think they could tell us that. We thought it was time to ask them what is important to you about the multi-channel services that you have. And we asked over-the-top viewers what's important to them in the OTT space. And we asked both, especially the OTT viewers, what they miss by not having multi-channel services. So the first half of this survey was about what's important to people in this new environment based on their experiences and what they know about the new services.
So it's very relevant because there are a whole bunch of, well, I'm certainly expecting a whole bunch of content providers from television to be launching. We've already had new announcements for Nickelodeon with Noggin, $5.99. So you actually now have some real data on their preferences and what's driving them. So let's talk about some of the top line findings of the report. What did you find?
Okay. Top line. So first of all, I think it's important for all of us to acknowledge that it's about 30% of TV content viewers are in this category of actually viewing content in the multi-platform space, in the OTT space. The second very important piece of background information is that most of the OTT viewing and what's important there right now, the bulk of it, is the major SVOD services, Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. Those major services. What they have done is opened up an opportunity now for broadband-centric original content and original aggregation to be offered to consumers. That is the environment. Right. So what did we find? Well, first of all, and the third item, by way of background, is our jumping to our conclusion that this is a growth opportunity for all players in the business, not as much disruptive as growth on both sides of the aisle, so to speak, the multi-channel side and the OTT side. And this is not a matter of being a nice guy and balanced. It's a matter of being in line with the history of media in this country and acknowledging the fact that what technology has done is opened up new time and quantity vistas for the consumer, and all players can take advantage of that expanded universe.
So the pie is actually getting bigger, is what you're saying.
The pie is bigger, both in terms of ways to access content and the time of day that access can be accessed, and the circumstances under which content and video content can be accessed. That pie has just grown exponentially, and that's what makes it a golden age of television for all players. But now some data.
Yes, give us some data nuggets.
First of all, I think the headline, with everything we hear about this space, is that to 75% of people in the survey, access to broadcast content, that programmed, linear, scheduled, promoted content that the broadcasters are still creating tops the list by far of any other content that people want access
including live channels.
Including live channels.
Wow.
That's correct. And of course, live sports is up there as important. And equally important, not equally important, but also up there is this recommendation engine, easy access, accessible, comprehensive SVOD services that up until now the major multi-channel services have not provided and have still not provided. So now you have on both sides what's important to the vast majority of consumers. So now, in this new space, we also ask people to build packages for themselves with or without multi-channel service in the OTT space and the multi-channel space. Well, here is the big news is that 39% of current people who are currently accessing multi-platform or have a multi-channel service indicate to us that they would consider changing it, structure a package for themselves outside of the multi-channel service. That's a huge number. By the way, currently 62% of multi-platform viewers currently have multi-channel service, and 40% of that 62% indicate that they want to make a change and go totally over the top.
So this really gives a lie to the fact that there's this idea that people really don't want to have to deal with the complexities of building their own packages, and your data's not saying that, right?
If you're in multi-platform, 60% of people don't want to deal with the complexities of building your own. 40% will entertain it if they have the right pieces. So, of course, announcements like HBO, CBS, Showtime means the right pieces are there for them to do that. But they also want access to broadcast content, which the new OTT players in this broadband TV world have to continue to deal with. It is not the end of television as we know it. There's a platform shift and room for new platform players, but the strong content players remain who they have always been.
And what was the feeling towards the price points that we've seen CBS All Access at $5.99, and we don't know about HBO yet, but suspect it's going to be between $15 and $20. What were the attitudes that people showed towards those price points?
Well, the attitudes that what people tended to do when they went to the OTT world, as we call it, that 39% of current multi-platform viewers who have multi-channel services, they chose a digital antenna service or a basic cable access service to get their broadcast content. They chose, about 40% of them chose an HBO or one of the three. Actually, it was 41% chose to add HBO to their services, and they would continue their SVOD service, and they would continue They would continue or add SVOD services. So what did that turn out to be? That turned out to be about a $35 bill.
$35.
For access, 35. For some it was 45, but to have access to premium content, to live sports content on the broadcasters, to live drama and series with the broadcasters, and to have access to the library of SVOD that Netflix delivered. Now that seemed to be a viable result of.
It sure did. It's interesting that's an interesting number, because it's certainly much less than they're probably paying existingly for their pay television. Right. But it's still a fair amount of money, right? Right.
It's still a fair amount of money. And where we should leave this conversation, if we have to, is remembering that initial 30% we started with. So 60% have multi-channel services, so we're down around 14%, and 40% of them are choosing to walk away from their multi-channel. So we're now to a total base of about 7 or 8%. I'm not belittling that number. That's big movement. By the way, movement moves in the other direction as well. About 20% of the 40% who don't have multi-channel want to go back, chose a multi-channel service to go back because they know what they're missing. The live sports, the easy access, problems with their internet.
Well, all right, Howard, it sounds like people need to get a hold of this report, so I'll make sure I include a link to the report. So thanks very much for briefing us on it.
Thank you for this interview.
You're welcome. And this has been Colin Dixon with nScreen Media.